A systematic effort to destroy every black male entertainment.
Kind of going through a period that I was having a struggle with hopelessness.
Oh, okay.
And it was just really, the world is just in a dark place.
Yeah.
Let's go to the date he actually died on, which is July 20th, which is the 201st day of the year. Yeah, can anybody tell me why The Cosby Show ran for a total of 8 seasons, equaling 201 episodes?
They're gonna come for you. You're too clean for this game. That's what Eddie Griffin told Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Not in front of cameras, not for clout, but behind closed doors.
Remember, pay attention, y'all. They have to let us know first before they can do anything to us. That's heavenly rules, right? That's how God laid it out for these little demon mother. They can't with us without letting us know that they're about to with us.
A real warning from someone who knows how deep this game goes. Now, Malcolm's gone, dead, found drowned in the ocean during a so-called vacation in Costa Rica. But the way this story has been spinning, it's shady from every angle. First, everyone said he died trying to save his daughter from a riptide. That version blew up fast, everywhere from headlines to viral posts. US Weekly even ran with it, claiming Malcolm jumped in to rescue his daughter, playing the hero. But just like that, boom, the story flipped.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who was rescued by onlookers, died after receiving treatment from the Red Cross.
Now they're saying his daughter wasn't even in the water. Huh? That's a wild switch up. And here's another thing. Malcolm's wife wasn't even there that day. So let's get this straight. We're supposed to believe he took his 8-year-old daughter to swim on a beach full of warning signs, no lifeguard, and known for being dangerous. Without his wife, that's not just odd, it's straight up unbelievable.
So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it, because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm, soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of male-female dynamics. And with a girl, all of that starts with the father. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of my wife.
And if the daughter wasn't in the water like they're now saying, then what? She was just sitting alone on the beach while Malcolm swam out alone? That doesn't track. This man adored his family. He prayed for that little girl, spoke about how he manifested her into his life. He never played when it came to being a dad. Even in his last interview, right before everything went down, Malcolm talked about his wife and daughter like they were his whole world. He wasn't out there being reckless. He was careful, private, and all about his family. So what really went down that day on that beach in Costa Rica?
My wife, through a mutual friend, I've never second-guessed it. We've been together almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to one
In
another.
10 years?
I was like, if I'm going to have a kid, this is the person that I would want to have it with. I talk about them because there are obviously the hugest parts of my life, the best parts of my life, the best decisions I've ever made.
Because Eddie Griffin didn't throw out that warning for nothing. He's seen the inner workings of this industry for decades. He knows how this game gets played. Eddie Griffin knew exactly what kind of target Malcolm had on his back. A black man in Hollywood with no scandals, no arrests, no wild headlines, just a clean image and a mission to uplift young black boys. That's a serious threat in a system that thrives on chaos. And Malcolm wasn't just keeping clean, he was speaking out, calling things what they really were, refusing to sell out or play puppet for anyone. He never chased clout or begged for roles. He turned down the clown parts, stayed behind the scenes, and made moves on his own terms. Quiet, low-key, but always watching. And recently, He'd been reconnecting with people like Dave Chappelle and Mos Def, other legends who stepped away from Hollywood's grip.
Says, the thing about a black boy is you don't necessarily want to beat a black boy. What you want to do is you want to love him so divinely. You want to love him so fiercely that your disappointment will kill him. You want to adore him so much that the last thing he wants to do is disappoint you.
That's when Eddie started pulling him aside and dropping truth bombs. They'll get you if you stay clean. They don't like clean. So if you're sitting there thinking Malcolm-Jamal's death feels off, it's because it does. You're not alone. A whole lot of people are pointing back to Eddie's warning now, especially with the way the media keeps twisting the story like it's a game of telephone. When the news first broke, the story was crystal clear. Malcolm drowned trying to save his 8-year-old daughter from a rip current. It made headlines instantly. But then, less than 2 days later, Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Agency slid in with a new version. They claimed Malcolm had been playing with his daughter by the shore, but she was already out of the water by the time he got caught in the current. And now it turns out he wasn't alone.
This is the beach where all this unfolded, but really, as soon as you get here, even before you get onto the beachhead, you can see some warning signs for people who are coming to enjoy the day here. It says, Corrientes de resaca todo el año. Basically warning people, there is a current here throughout the year. You can see there are warnings for surfers, there's warnings about wave conditions, and then take a look at this. This massive sign says you can survive a rip current. Clearly, they're warning people about the conditions that can develop, and unfortunately, the conditions appear to have pulled out Malcolm-Jamal Warner over the week.
The latest update says he was with a friend. Both of them got swept out, but the friend somehow escaped. Then here's the wildest twist. Early reports said one man tried to save Malcolm and almost drowned himself. But suddenly the story flips again, and Costa Rican officials now claim several people on the beach pulled Malcolm out. Oh, and now there's not one, not two, but 3 random tourists who just happened to be doctors nearby. They saved the other guy, but couldn't save Malcolm? Make that make sense. The fact that this story keeps changing has a lot of people raising their eyebrows. And honestly, you don't need to be wearing a tinfoil hat to feel like something's seriously off. And now, fans and even some locals are pointing out something else that's just wild. Playa Cocos, the beach where this all went down, is straight up notorious for being dangerous. We're talking multiple academic studies calling it the most dangerous beach in all of Costa Rica. The riptides out there are no joke. Even Olympic-level swimmers have been pulled under. And we're supposed to believe Malcolm brought his young daughter out there to swim with no lifeguards around and his wife just stayed back at the hotel? That don't add up. And it gets worse. Turns out, there were no lifeguards on duty that day. The local Volunteer Lifeguard Association even admitted the beach was basically unguarded because they're low on resources. But there are warning signs everywhere, plastered up and down the coastline, telling folks not to swim. So why would Malcolm, who was known to be protective and smart, ignore all that and take his child out into deadly waters?
The reason for the title is combating the narrative of Black life, Black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The Black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the Black community.
Think about the pattern here. First, the media spins this heroic dad tries to save daughter story. Then they yank that narrative completely and go quiet. Meanwhile, the beach is known for claiming lives. There's nobody watching the water, and all the signs are screaming danger. These aren't little details. They're major red flags. If it was just a tragic accident, why does the story keep flipping like a bad script rewrite? Why let the public think Malcolm's daughter was almost lost with him, only to switch it up later when the heat died down? And why no official press conference? No footage? No solid answers? Eddie Griffin warned Malcolm plain and clear, if you stay clean and don't sell out, they'll come for you. And now, it's looking like someone knew exactly how this was going to go down and made sure it did. So now the real question is, why would they want Malcolm gone? See, Malcolm wasn't your average Hollywood celebrity. He wasn't out there playing the game, begging for fame, or doing whatever it took to stay relevant. He refused to sell out. No putting on dresses for a laugh. No taking roles that made a joke out of who he was. But don't get it twisted. He didn't stay quiet either. Malcolm called the system out loud and clear. He wasn't afraid to say what most are too scared to whisper. He went straight at the folks in charge, saying white producers, directors, and execs have been shaping and limiting how black people are shown on TV for decades. Back in 2021, he even dropped an op-ed for the Television Academy where he said straight up, white network and studio execs, white writers, white producers, and white directors are the gatekeepers of black images on television. He wasn't sugarcoating anything. Malcolm wrote that even during those rare moments when black creatives get a seat at the table, it's usually just the illusion of control. The same tired stereotypes still get pushed, even if the characters wear suits or have fancy jobs. The message underneath doesn't change. And that was just one angle.
Moratorium on both of those words in hip hop because it's low-lying fruit. It's so easy. Everybody does it to the point that it's corny. Like there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing and
as much as
every 2 sentences because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist
that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
On his podcast, Not All Hood, Malcolm pulled back the curtain on how the media keeps trying to box all black people into one narrative. Same stories, same characters, same negative images over and over like it's on a loop. He knew what was going on, and he wasn't about to stay silent about it. He also spoke up about the state of modern rap and hip-hop, how toxic some of it had become. He called out the misogyny, the fake tough guy act, the constant division. Malcolm wasn't on that wave. He wanted accountability, healing, real growth in the community. And of course, that's exactly the kind of talk the big record labels don't want to hear, because they're cashing in on chaos, drama, and destruction. So if you think Malcolm was just talking to talk, think again. He was shaking tables in all directions. And when that massive Kendrick versus Drake beef exploded last year, guess who was one of the few bold enough to speak truth during the madness? Malcolm. Malcolm wasn't one to jump into drama just for the spotlight. When that whole Kendrick versus Drake beef took over the headlines, while everyone else picked sides or hyped it up, Malcolm kept it real. He called it out as a distraction, straight up saying it's sad how hip-hop only gets mainstream shine when it's about beef, violence, or negativity. That's the kind of mindset that made him different. He didn't play safe. He didn't play along. He pushed back every single time. Malcolm refused to be a puppet. He didn't let the industry mold him, and he definitely didn't sell his soul to stay relevant. He kept speaking truth, even when it made him a target. And maybe, just maybe, he got too close to something they didn't want out there. That's why Eddie Griffin's warning hits so hard now. It wasn't just some emotional speech, it was a real heads up. Eddie saw what Malcolm was stepping into, and now, this accidental death feels way too convenient. Eddie didn't hold back in his tribute either. He posted on Instagram, "My heart is heavy today. For what the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, a warrior that I had the pleasure of going to war with against the Hollywood machine." That wasn't just a goodbye. That was a coded message. A shout out to someone who stood up and fought back. But it doesn't stop there. Insiders are whispering that Malcolm was working on something deeper than just calling out Hollywood. Something way darker. There are rumors he was preparing to expose a secret that the elites did not want reaching the public. And what's even crazier, one of the last things Malcolm posted on Instagram read, "It's just words. It's just entertainment. You're looking into it too deeply. Okay, because I know we can do better. Hopefully this leads to growth all around." Read that again. He knew exactly what he was doing. And now, he's gone. If this shook you the way it shook us, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this with someone who needs to see the truth. We're just getting started. See you on the next one.